All right, Mr. McIntosh, you're good.
Evening. I'm Jerry McIntosh, and this is Our Voices, the People's Media. Tonight, we got a lot to address, lots to talk about because of so many things that's going on, especially with the Voting Rights Act and all of that has been turned over by the decision of the Supreme Court. We're going to address that and other hot topics, but I'm going to go back to Derek. Well, first, let me introduce our host. So Derek Scott is with the Escambia County Democrat Party. Jill Lewis Daggs with the what's the Wookaloosa Democrat Party, and Mr. Vernon Watson. Where you're watching this show, WBQP TV, Roku, Fire Stick, and YouTube. So Derek.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us. I hope everybody had a phenomenal Memorial Day weekend and as well rested. We will go through our normal beginning of our roundtable, and I'm going to kick it back off with Mr. Vernon. Do you have anything that we need to know and things are upcoming?
No, I don't have anything right now, Derek.
Okay. All right. Mr. McIntosh, what about you?
Yeah, Move for Change is having its 29th Freedom is Not Free banquet at its personal on 2610 West Savante Streets. Street tickets are $60. Social hours start from 5 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Program start at 6 o'clock. Our keynote speaker is Jasmine Burney Clark, who is the founder and senior advisor of Equal Ground. We're looking forward to hearing from her and looking forward to seeing all of you there to be a part of this great event. Next year, if everything goes right, it'll be our 30th anniversary and annual banquet. So we've been around for a minute. So I'll go back to you, Derek. Oh yeah. Oh no. We're gonna have a silent auction and door prizes also. So we'll see you then.
Okay. And Jill, take it away.
I actually have a question first. Can you do the date, the location, the time, and is there a flyer? And how much are tickets? Maybe I just wasn't listening.
Oh, the tickets are $60. It's June the 19th at 5 o'clock. The doors open at 5, and social hours from 5 to 6, and the program starts at 6. So again, and that's 2610 West Savante Street. Could you hear me still? Could you hear me, Gia?
Yes, perfect. Okay. Thank you so much.
All right.
All right. I guess Mr. Scott is telling me it's my time. So I get the honor and the pleasure to go over what's happening in Okaloosa County. And so to our viewing audience, super happy to be here this evening. We missed you last evening and then Mother's Day. And so you'll be seeing a lot of us, probably more and more as we get closer to the primary and the election in November. But we're excited to be here. Want to go over a couple of things, and then I have some shout outs and some things that have happened and we're super excited about in Okaloosa County. First, Okaloosa DBC will have their meeting the second Tuesday of this month at 6 p.m. It'll be on Zoom, and that will be with John Armour. And then they are continuing to support the family of Senior Airman Roger Fortson. Just want to make sure, keep a lookout on Facebook, because as wonderful Okaloosa County does their process of getting this finally to court, hopefully in September. They do have some times where they've have to check in just to make sure, and we try to fill a courtroom just to make sure that they know that the public is still engaged in wanting justice. And then the second thing is the DBC, the Democratic Black Caucus, Okaloosa County, will be joining Crestview's Juneteenth celebration during the day on June 19th. And that will be held at the Crestview Community Center. It's right across from the high school in Crestview and next door to the library at 1446 Commerce Drive. That'll be from 11 to 5 p.m. And they do something very exciting. I go over it each week, but it's important for us to get the history of what Juneteenth is. And so they actually have actors, local people that you might notice and say, hey, I know that person, that are dressed up, and they do the full story. And then at 5 o'clock, they do the grand finale. They have usually the Crestview band there, and it's just a wonderful opportunity. They also have lots of vendors and lots of food, and I would just encourage everybody, if you don't have something to do on that day and you happen to have it off, because it is still a national holiday, and I have to give a shout out to Mayor Witten in Crestview because he closes down the whole city of Crestview. He's the first mayor in Okaloosa County to give everybody it off and paid, and so we thank him for that. Next, I have the Okaloosa DEC. They will be meeting on the third Tuesday of this month at the Niceville City Council chambers, and they had their first, I hate to say that, but it's our first, and so I'm excited, first exciting weekend of action. They were phone banking, and so we're going to give that shout out. We know that the Black Caucus really helped with that, but we're all together working, trying to get things done. And then we also have a new office. It is located at 646 Avalon Street, Unit 8 in Fort Walton Beach. We don't have the hours operation yet, but know that we heard everyone that said, hey, where can we come and volunteer? Can we make phone calls and text messages and get literature so that we can go knock on doors? So we heard the call, and our chair and vice chair have found a location. They say it's on Industrial Drive. I haven't even been there yet, so it's breaking news. And then also want to give a shout out to the Okaloosa County NAACP. They are really galvanizing and bringing people together. They had a meeting this Saturday. Ruby Dunson was over it. She is the Civic Engagement Chair, and they just did a call to action to any leader, anybody that is concerned, wanting to be engaged, to try to make sure that we protect our voting rights and have representation. And if you missed it, you want to get in touch with either Sabu Williams, who is the president of the NAACP in Okaloosa County, or Ruby, because it's never too late to get engaged and get involved. And then I can take some personal privileges. I have 3 shout outs I want to give out. The first one is going to be to Tamra Moon. I think she was on the show one time before. You might remember her. She just got a promotion, well, a new job, and she is the, and I hope I say this right, Okaloosa County Welcome Center. She just got that job, and she's doing a wonderful, wonderful job. She's an amazing individual. She gave her testimony at the UU Church in Valparaiso last week, and this week at First Church in Crestview, and her story is powerful. And it's about where she came from, why she's here, why she volunteered at the Crestview Resource Center as the digital media director. And the call to action is, you too can help someone. And sometimes it's the unexpected help that changes people's lives. And so to Tamra, you are loved, you are amazing. Thank you for the hard work. Don't give up. We're looking for great things for her also in Okaloosa County as we go into elections next year. And so just truly thank you. And also to another wonderful person, Heather. I call her Heather the Greatest, but Heather and Zach Bird and their family are new to the Okaloosa DEC, but not new to doing the work and the things that need to get done. And I want to share a story. I was sick and I had just really met Heather and her family, and they sent me, her kids made me a card with all these wonderful origami, I believe is what it was. And it just really made me smile. So sometimes just that special meet of some people, and that knowing that they actually care about you is amazing. And so I hope that I can give that back to them. I'm praying for Zach. He's hurt his back. And so Zach, get to the doctor. And then my last shout out is going to be to our newly appointed city councilman, Sylvester Eccles. He has decided, are you ready, Crestview and Okaloosa County, to run to be reelected to city council. And although it is nonpartisan, he is a Democrat, and we are excited to support him and be there with them. And that same team of Heather and her family and Tamara and I are working behind the scenes to make sure he gets reelected. And so with that, I would say we can do this, and we can do this together. And I am honored to be here on the show with the fabulous Jerry McIntosh, and Vernon gives us the opportunity to do this, but he also lets us kind of chat on Wednesdays. I get to talk with him, and we do Inside Okaloosa at 7:45. So you can also join us then. And we're here to give you the information. You do your homework, but know that we're trying to give you as much information as we can to make sure that you can make the best decision. And every single person needs to register to vote, check your voting status, make sure you get educated, and not just sit at home. I don't want you to say, oh yeah, I registered to vote. Because if you don't put that first motion into action, then things are going to get worse and worse. And we will go over that, I'm sure, in just a little while. But to everyone, that's our Okaloosa report. Thank you so much. Derek, back to you.
I'm talking and didn't realize I was on mute. I was going to say that, so I'll say it again. Thank you very much, Jill. I appreciate your report. We don't have very much to share in Escambia County. Huge today was we had a weekend of action here in Escambia County yesterday. Democrats here in Escambia County got on the phones, made calls for folks who were looking to re-enroll and vote by mail. We want to make sure that everybody, and I'm going to make this a call to action to everybody in the sound of our voice, particularly here if you're in the state of Florida. If you are not currently enrolled in vote by mail, I'm going to urge and request and ask that each of you do so. Voting by mail or enrolling in vote by mail does not mean that you have to vote by mail. It just simply gives you an option. If you've heard me speak before about this very topic, I always talk about your plan A, your plan B, and your plan C. Your plan A should always be your vote by mail ballot. Here in Escambia County, certainly we're afforded the option, and across the state of Florida, we're afforded the option of everybody being able to register or enroll and vote by mail. It's not specified for those who are convalesced or sick and shut-ins or people who can't get to the polls. Anybody has the ability and the right to vote by mail and enroll and vote by mail, despite what you may have heard with these presidential executive orders trying to ban or limit the vote by mail enrollment. Please understand it is just rhetoric and it's just a scare tactic. Everybody can enroll and vote by mail. So if you're in Escambia County, your homework that I'll ask each of you to do is to call the Escambia County Supervisor of Elections office on first thing on Monday morning at 8 a.m. You can reach them at 850-595-3900. Again, that's 850-595-3900 and request a vote by mail ballot. It takes 2 minutes to do, or 3 minutes to do rather. And they will send it to you and get you prepared not only for the primary election that is scheduled for Tuesday, August 18th, but also you'll get one for the general election scheduled for Tuesday, November 3rd. So please make sure you do that. Whether you vote by mail or not, just get the vote by mail enrollment done and make sure you are safeguarding your right to vote. So we did that on Saturday, and then today there was a huge ballot bash initiative with congressional candidate Gabe Elmont in her office. So they had people again making phone calls to make sure that everybody was aware that the both the primary and general election are coming up, and to make sure that they know of who Gay is, and making sure they're going to be supporting that, and also making sure that they're enrolling people in vote by mail. So, we want to make sure we kill two birds with one stone while we got you on the phone. So, big shout out to those who participated in that event today. I'm sure it was a great event, but I unfortunately wasn't able to attend. I did say that I did do my part though. I went this afternoon to get them set up on a phone bank, to get a dollar set up. I'm sorry, not a dollar, a virtual phone bank set up. So I did do that. So I was able to converse with her team and whatnot beforehand, and we found ourselves in a meeting, which I'm sure we'll talk about a little later on today. And Mr. McIntosh and I, along with several other community leaders and electeds, were in a meeting today. And then I went from that meeting to another meeting. And then here we are on the show. So I will say we have a lot coming up. This is going to be, I feel like, we're taking as many opportunities to rest as possible, because I know we have a full calendar for the next 180 days or so. It's going to be crazy.
When is that rest time, Derek?
Huh?
When is that rest time?
Yeah, I don't know.
1 to 4 o'clock in the morning, 1 to 5, not even 2 to 5.
I can't even say it. I try to do it from 1 to 6, but people start texting you at 5:35 in the morning. They're not gonna say any names, but they know who they are. I'm sure they're watching us on the show, but they start texting, and I'm like, hello, but that's okay. I guess when democracy is crumbling, no time like the present to start talking. And in actuality, who can sleep when your life is at stake? So, this is where we are. But, we are taking advantage, because we do have to think. I'm feeling like, I won't say overwhelmed. Anxious is probably a better way to describe it. And not because we have so much to do, but because so much is at stake. And I think those of us on this call have the urgency, but I'm not seeing the urgency as much as I'd like to see it across the board, right? And so I think that's adding to my stress. But that's okay. We're going to get through August 18th, and then again through November, and then after November, I'm sure we'll do it all.
The mountains. Anyway.
Yeah. She wants to go play with the bears, but
I don't. But you know what? Derek said that, and I was watching. So I love Tennessee. I don't even know why, to be honest. I just love Tennessee. I've loved it all my life. But anyway, and so I was like, we should all, like the group of us, just friends, anybody at this point, just everybody go to Tennessee. And he was like, when? I was like, I guess after the election, when everybody's going to need a break. He was like, there's bears and all of this. And I happened to be watching an episode, Nashville Married at First Sight. And they got to go, right before the end, if you watch the show, they always send them to some wonderful place, and they sent them to the Gatlinburg in the mountains. And the one girl says, I hope there's no bears. And the guy was like, I like bears. And the next morning, guess what? There were bears. Yeah. And he was like, I'm going to go outside. And they were like, you better not open that door. So I was like, Derek's right. There's actually bears, for real.
There are bears. And those bears
are right there, like by their cars in the front yard.
Their bears are smart. They know how to open doors.
That's what Jenna said.
I've seen TikToks.
Mom, they can open your door. I was like, no, they can't. She's like,
they open doors. They can open, like they had this one bear, the TikTok where they're, and I'm like, this is nothing well, let me rephrase. I'm sure these are not black folks in here because they were like videoing the bear as it was opening the refrigerator door of their cabin in Gatlinburg, like trying to get to the food. And I'm like, why would you be inside videoing? Like, I would be so far out the door. I mean, I don't know which is better, the inside or the outside, because outside is more bears. Inside there's a bear, but I certainly would not be in there videotaping the bear. But they do have them. I see the people with the bears in the car, and they get stuck in the car because they can open the door, but they can't open the door from the inside. They know how to get in the car. They don't know how to get out the car, and they tear them people cars up. So, yeah,
like those people that like to, like be in the middle of a hurricane or track a tornado. I saw that on the news too. There was a tornado like right here, right here, and they were like, "There it is! Go the other way! Go the other way!" And I'm like, "There is no way." But anyway, I'm sure that's not what you wanted to talk about, Mr. McIntosh. So I'm sorry for the sidebar.
Jill, I was up in Gatlinburg. So I guess maybe about 10 years ago, and we saw a little old bear, and that was walking down, coming in and out down the street, and we had a cooler on the patio, on the these are chalets way above the trees, right? And the trees so tall they run right on the backside. It was a raccoon got on the porch and opened the cooler. I mean, just like, they had told us, don't put your cooler out on the porch because, animals will try to get in it. And we were sitting there watching this raccoon open our cooler and was trying to get food out. And the raccoon, I guess they are so used to people. When you go to screaming at, they be looking at you like, why are you here? I'm trying to get food.
Why
left it out? Wasn't this for me? Like, I'm just coming to the park.
You said it out here, so it must be mine.
Right. But it does sound like fun. But we're going to get through this, provided we have a nation, and provided after November that we're still, as Black folks, allowed to roam about free. We will still we'll continue to we'll plan the trip to I was about to say Pigeon Forge to Gatlinburg.
It'll be somewhere. It doesn't necessarily
it'll be somewhere. But those are the things. And so yesterday I was able to give a special shout out to the Sisters of Hope, which is organized by Ms. Gladys Scott here locally. I was able to participate in a all-day workshop and they kind of focused their conversation around returning citizens and making sure that they're well equipped from whether they're talking about services they need, employment services. And of course, I got to talk about my favorite topic, and that's voting and getting prepared to register to vote and what's coming up in the elections. So giving a huge shout out to Ms. Gladys and her team, and thank you for having me. And then we went to then after that, I want to give a shout out to Miss Annie Joyce Lawrence and the members of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated because they had a candidate forum, and I tried my best to get there in time, but by the time I got there, they were wrapping up. So I did get a chance to go in and say hello to the candidates, but I hear it was very well attended, and they did a great thing. And then huge shout out, because yesterday, and Jill, you missed it. You should be. I think you missed out because yesterday I had the chance to go and support Jermaine J. Williams, who is a candidate running for mayor of the city of Pensacola, and he had a fish fry fundraiser. I'm looking at you because it was really good.
Wasn't that as good as Dondre's or Hale's? Oh, I'm so sad. So I don't like fish, Jerry, at all. But about twice. But one was Hale, and I think Dondre was cooking it. The fish was so good. And then I have to give a shout out to my daughter because Jenna's in town for a couple of months, and she's making. She makes salmon, whatever y'all say, but we call it salmon here. So that's what I'm gonna say. For Joey, who's her husband. And so she'll bring me some, and it's so good. And I do not like fish. I only like fish if it doesn't taste like fish. It's seasoned all the way through. I don't want to see no bones, no eyeballs. I don't want to see none of that. Um, and so, and I'm sure Derek didn't, nicely, Jerry, save me a plate or buy me a plate or any of that. So hopefully you were able to attend. And maybe Vernon, you got to attend, or maybe, I don't know, but he's rubbing it in because, when you're in Okaloosa, we are about an hour to an hour and a half away. So we can't come to everything and do our work here. But that's something I wish I could have been at.
Yeah, it was good. Now I can't say that let me rephrase. I had every intention on saving you a plate. I bought three in total. And I gave one to your friend, your buddy Linda Scott, and then I had two left. And then I ate the first one, and I was like, "Oh, well, this ain't gonna see. This is not gonna see tomorrow. So I'm just gonna go ahead and eat it, and I'll have to catch. Jill will have to catch the next one. I'm sure they had baked beans and a potato salad and corn, like was it a ear of corn or whatever, a corn on the cob. That's what I'm trying to say. And I couldn't, I wanted the potato salad so bad, but I was gone all day, and I left the food in the car for like 3 hours, and so I didn't want a chance eating the potato salad. But even when I got home, I took your advice and I checked, and it was still cold. And I was like, it's cold. It's not even hot. Maybe I can eat it. But then I was scared, so I was like, that's okay. But shout out to them. So that was a Saturday day, and yeah, we're just going to continue moving on. So that's all that I have from that standpoint. Now let's go into, I guess, what we have, and we want to make sure that we talk about making sure you're prepared for the midterm elections. And I think we covered it, but the first thing that I want to make sure that everybody does is first pick their voter status. Jill, can you talk a little bit about why that's important and what they need to do and how they can do it?
And I thought he was going to give me the part about vote by mail. That's okay.
Oh yeah, I'll give you that one. No, I'll give you that one. Yeah. You're better about that one. Okay. So I will give you, what I will do is make sure that you tell everybody to check your voter status. It is a 2-minute process. You can go online or you can call your local supervisor of elections office and just check. We have, particularly our Black folks here in the area and in the state of Florida, they're being removed from the voter roll at a level unlike anybody else. It's desperate impact to us. And what we need to ensure is that you're still active. Many people may think they're active and they may be set up, but if you've moved, if you haven't voted in a couple of election cycles, you need to go in and check your voter registration status. Even if you think you're okay, just go in and check it, because they will put you on the inactive voter status list. And that means that you haven't either voted in the last 2 election cycles, or you've moved and not updated your address with the supervisor of elections. And what's critical about inactive voter status is that it's the last stop on the train. The next stop is you get put out, and that's what I was saying. That means they'll remove you from the voter roll. So you want to make sure that doesn't happen to you, and just check your voter status. The next thing that you should do is enroll and vote by mail. And we touched bases on it, but Jill, you're always so great at talking about vote by mail, so take it away.
Thank you so much. I'm only great at it because I've messed it up twice and needed to do it. I think what Derek said before is important. First of all, we used to, when we started doing this, say, hey, just, you're going to vote earlier. You're going to go vote on voting, when the election is, and you could do vote by mail. But now we realize how critical it is. And we want to say that your option A is vote by mail. And then B can be to go vote early, and then C can be to vote on election day. And here's why. You have the opportunity to easily pick up the phone, call your supervisor of elections office. You can change your whole family, and you can say, we want to vote by mail ballot. You receive the vote by mail ballot before early voting and before the election, and it gives you a couple of things. It tells you everything that's going to be on your ballot because it is your ballot. It gives you the opportunity, if you haven't gone to the many different opportunities that you will have to find out about amendments, to find out about candidates, to do your own research. And it allows you to sit there and take your time, figure out who you want to vote for, check the boxes, put your signature on it. In some counties, it's a self-addressed stamp. And, they already send it with an envelope that you don't have to put a stamp on. In other counties, you have to put a stamp on it, but that's it. Walk it out to your mailbox and put it in the mail. Or you could take it to the supervisor of elections office or the drop-off boxes. And so many people ask a couple of questions. Does it really count? Is there a way to track it? There absolutely is a way to track it. You can check with your supervisor of elections office. You can call and ask. You can call one of your people on this show. We'll be more than happy to help you track it. And if for some reason they don't receive it by election time, can you vote? Yes. Can you receive a vote by mail ballot and use it for information, but go and vote early voting or on election day? Yes. You can't vote twice, so that's not what we're saying. But you can have it so that you have the opportunity. Many times I can remember, for me, it was always the judges. We do a really good job now calling around and trying to get information for you so that you know about judges. But before we knew about this wonderful show, Our Voices, we were just kind of scrambling. And I can remember a few times, a long time ago, going in and saying, their last name is Smith. I know somebody whose last name is Smith. I don't know. And then I know somebody, I'm just being honest. This is the wrong way to do it, but I'm just being honest. Or, wow, their last name's my last name. I'll say yes. First of all, that is absolutely the wrong way to do it, because most of the time judges are, in this day and age, are not ones that we want to keep unless they have a record that benefits us. The second thing is, I'm going to tell two quick stories. So my first one, my son was going to Florida A&M University. He was in ROTC and he hurt his ankle and cut it open or something. I don't know. And then he calls and he was like, Mom, something's wrong. I rushed to Tallahassee. We get him into the urgent care emergency room and then the hospital. They have to do emergency surgery. And guess what day it is? It is the day before election on Monday. It is too late for me to vote early. I did not do vote by mail. So I had to leave him there with my then mother-in-law, drive all the way back 2.5 hours to here, vote, and drive 2.5 hours back just because I didn't do the simple thing that we're telling you to do. Vote by mail is an opportunity that you have to ensure that you can vote. If it's raining outside, if there's a hurricane, if somebody's sick, you just don't feel like leaving your house or you can't. It gives you that opportunity. The second story I'm going to tell you, I actually did vote by mail. It was at my house, and my daughter got married 10 days before you even had to worry about it. And then I had a tragic accident, and I'm in the hospital in a whole nother county. Is it 7 hours? 7 hours away? I don't know, 8 hours? I don't know how many hours away. I was away. So I thought I'd be smart because, I'm trained. And so while I'm in the hospital, I call Okaloosa Supervisor of Elections. I tell them what happened. Like, I am in the hospital. I need my vote by mail ballot. If I send it to my daughter in Orlando, can I get it and still vote? And they're like, yes. So they send it to my daughter in Orlando. But guess what? By the time it gets to my daughter in Orlando, they have then sent me back to Okaloosa County. It's just crazy. And so I'm in Okaloosa County. Now I can't vote early because my ballot is somewhere else and they didn't have time to get it to me. And I'm in a rehab facility that the person who normally, so they say, the person who normally takes people to go vote was sick for a week. And so therefore, they weren't letting anybody go because you're not supposed to leave. And so I literally had to break out of the rehab place because I was like, I cannot not vote. At that time, not even dreaming that we would be where we are now. But with Kamala running at the time, we really did believe it was like a no-brainer, like this is, but I'm voting anyway. So the first thing I would say, never take for granted that your vote, A, doesn't count, or that you know what's going to happen. The one thing that you know is if you don't vote, nothing's going to happen. If you vote, at least you have the opportunity to make the choices of who's going to be in office, especially locally. But I did. I broke out. I had somebody pick me up and they took me, and then I came back and said, I'm so sorry, I'm back now. Will you please check me back in? And they were like, yes, but you know you're not supposed to do that. And I was like, I know, but I needed to vote. So all of that to say, though, that's a good fun way for you to understand that it's real. It's not, we're not telling you to do it because we get to check a box or anything like that. It's not just because we want you to have something else to do. We absolutely want to ensure that you have the opportunity to vote and that you actually look at your ballot. It can be overwhelming sometimes. Sometimes you don't know there's a front and the back or a front, back, and another page. And so I just would strongly encourage everybody to go ahead. It doesn't take, Derek, 2 minutes on the phone to get registered for it. You would, as he said earlier, you'll get it for the primary and for the general election, and it's good for 2 years unless they change some more rules. And so we just tell you, even if you have done it maybe last year, it's not going to hurt you to do it again. You can update your signature. There's just so many things with all these loopholes that they keep creating that it never hurts you to do your vote by mail and to check your voter status. And so I will hand it back over to Derek as he goes to the next step after you have checked your voter status and you have registered for vote by mail.
So with that, Mr. McIntosh, why don't you talk about the importance of early voting and what we need to do to ensure that we get out our vote this year?
Well, if we're doing early voting, if we do early voting, and we should as many as possible, because then you can help others get to the polling place where they need to vote. Also, you can help transfer people back and forth. If nothing else, at least be able to make phone calls on that day to help people with their early voting ballots to make sure everybody is there, and you can help people check their status on your computer. Like I said, it take about 3 minutes. We had a town hall meeting Thursday, Moving for Change, and that was one of the things that we talked about, how we can best get people to the polls. And we had the supervisor of the election there to tell us about the voting and how many people have been purged. And I don't know, Derek, do you have that list of people that have been purged or on inactive roll?
Inactive, yeah, it's closer to about 14,000. Of that number, 8,000 or 8,500 now are Black. It's a significant amount of folks.
Yeah, I know. I thought he said, with the people that's been removed and the ones that's inactive, it's around 24,000 from what he said.
That could be with removed, yeah.
Right, with removed,
as
yeah.
you're talking, as you're talking about it, I'm curious to see. I'll tell you in a second.
Yeah. But that's if it is, that's kind of tragic right there. And some kind of way we got to encourage people to get back on the road, and not only get on the road, but the ones that are registered turn out, because that's going to be key, turning out people for those who are already registered. But if we can register as many as possible, and we know that early voting, you done relieved yourself of a lot of headaches trying to get to the polls and all that. If you do that early, like I said again, you can help others by helping them get to the polling place that they need to get to. You can also do some phone banking that day on or the next day, whatever, to help people get to let them know where they vote early at. So yeah.
Yeah, and I'm looking at the number. It looks like the number has gone up. That can't be
Yeah.
right. Like something just doesn't seem right. But like when we look at, if I'm looking at currently our registered, inactive, and dropped individuals who have been removed from the voter rolls now shows 47,735 people. So something about that doesn't seem right, but
It might be right
47,000.
because Okaloosa's was at 30,000. So if we're at 30,000, you guys could be at 47,000.
that's high. But yeah,
Uh,
could very
Yeah.
be the
one
case.
one of the things he was saying too, that with mail-in ballot, we have to get them in early as possible too, because if you put it in the mailbox, it goes all the way to Jacksonville and come back. From what he was saying, it goes, that's I know it sounds crazy because I asked him again. You said Jacksonville? I said, yeah, it goes all the way to Jacksonville, then come back. Then on top of that, we have to be concerned about that. Concerned about the sorters, and with the postal service. So it's just some, it's always something to slow down the processes of getting voting, get our voting places, get our ballots to the right place, to the supervisor election office. One of the things there you had said was, take it down there and take it to the post office, have it post dated at the post office if you can. So which makes sense. So we need to definitely do that as much as possible, if we can, if we have a way to get there.
Bill?
So one of the things, Mr. McIntosh, that I like the best about early voting is that I don't have to figure out where my precinct is. So because I've moved a couple of times, early voting allows me to vote anywhere in Okaloosa where there is a voting poll open. And usually that's about 5 locations, usually. And I can just go there and they don't have to worry about, hey, are you where, you have to vote where you live on election day. But in early voting, you can go anywhere. So if you happen to work by the supervisor of elections office in Crestview, great. But if you happen to work by the supervisor of elections office in Fort Walton, that's great too. And usually they do the library, and then we'll see what other locations they make available. But to me, that's one of the best things. If I wasn't going to do vote by mail, my very next thing would be early voting, because I don't have to go where I live. I can just go, you're like kind of like, I got extra 15 minutes. Let me go vote.
I hear you.
It's going to be tough, but I think right now the good thing is that you have so many options available to us that, we should be okay. But again, I will continue to say this, and I will say this to folks in Escambia County, and particularly to my communities of color here. And oftentimes you hear, some of you may feel and think that your vote doesn't matter. And some of you may be looking at the news or hearing all of the the craziness that's happening. You're saying, see, or may have thought you voted last year, and it's like, okay, this has gotten progressively worse. Well, I will tell you, Will and Jill will agree with me on this, is that the very first rule of thumb is, as we govern ourselves, is that all politics are local, and the very people that impact you the most are the people that you're going to be voting for in this midterm election. So this August and I'll say this December, Lord have mercy, this August and then this November, those are going to be the people that impact your lives the most. And so you want to make sure that you get out to vote. And fun fact, if we can turn out 85% of our registered voters to just get out and vote, we can shift the paradigm that's in Escambia County. You can shift it in Santa Rosa County. You can shift it in Okaloosa County. That's good stuff. And if you wonder, well, how do I know if I'm part of the 85%? Well, you'll never know unless you go vote. So just try it. Now, on to our next topic. Let's talk a little bit about the weaponization of this. What is it? The weaponization, or this 1,776 slush fund that they've gotten for folks. Let's talk about it. Is everybody? I think we started talking about it last week, but let's continue the conversation because there have been some new developments. But for refreshers, Mr. McIntosh, why don't you just share with the folks what the weaponization slush fund is for, why it was created, and whom it benefits?
Right. It was it was created to go after for Trump's buddies and the insurrectionists and all his criminal partners that he had been working that had broke into the Capitol, and other people that he deemed his enemies. It's really sad when you think about it. We got people out there can't get food and housing and all of that, and they're gonna try to give these people who committed crimes, and many of them confess that they were involved in it. These are the people who beat police officers to death. So some of those officers are still suffering from PTSD. These Capitol police. And then he was talking about giving each one of them reparation for the crime that they committed to try to overthrow this government, for treason and insurrection. When you think about it, that is crazy as they come. And I don't know how much he was gonna, and I imagine $1 billion was gonna go to his pocket before the judge temporarily stayed him. So he was gonna get $1 billion because the Justice Department had decided to settle with him, and this didn't go through Congress. It didn't go through the judicial system where it's supposed to, and none of that. But he had to set up a committee already to distribute the monies to these people who have been adjudicated criminals that he pardoned. But he wanted to say that the former Justice Department and the former president and vice president acted with malice towards those individuals who raided the Capitol and put feces all on the wall and broke into Nancy Pelosi's office and messed up Capitol material. Took over the citadel of democracy in this country, and he's still talking about they were just on a tour adventure at the Capitol. What'd you say, you, Jill?
A tour adventure. I mean, I guess that's one way to describe. Maybe that's what they told them as they were loading up buses, even from our area, that you were going to go destroy point by point, which I guess would make it a tour. And the adventure was to make sure that you break every law that there is. And I think for me, I know I was shocked, but more so that people lost lives. And that he was able to just push that aside and say, oh, they didn't do anything wrong. They were on a tour. They just happened to be there. It was just, they were just going to go and see it. And they just happened to be in Nancy Pelosi's office. And I remember, and Derek, I know you were there. I'm not sure. Remember when Val Demings came to?
Oh, so I thought you were saying I was there.
No, not way. Let me clarify. I'm sorry.
What?
Meredith, stop. Okay. He was not there. I was in my mind.
Thank you.
I was thinking that. He was definitely not there. But when Val Demings came, I think it was to the Fricker Center, but I could be wrong. When she spoke, she went over how they were on the floor and they were telling them to get down and put on gas masks and just like we elect people and we send them to ensure that we're safe. And I have to believe that they never thought that there was a day, and I think those were her words, that you would be on the floor trying to represent the people from your constituency, and then you would get the emergency call that says, everybody get down, put on your gas masks. Why do they have gas masks there? That was a whole nother story. But so maybe they were somewhat prepared, which is scary, but probably more so from more of an outside attack, not states of America and their citizens coming for a tour to tear apart Capitol, which is to me is just crazy. But I'm not shocked. Nothing these days shocks me. I want to ask, but I don't know why I ask. How is it? Matter of fact, my mom asks me this once a week. She says, Jill, what are you Democrats going to do? And when are the Republicans going to wake up? And I'm like, well, I can tell you what the Democrats are doing, and it's not enough. And I can tell you I don't know when Republicans are going to wake up, because by now, and all of the things that have happened, whether you are black, white, purple, pink, whether you are straight, gay, or any of the other LGBTQA+ that there is, whether you are an immigrant or you were born here. I just don't think whether you have money or you don't have money, whether you're a veteran or you're just a stay-at-home person, whoever you are, everything that is going on impacts us. And I think for a while they could say, oh, that was just the black and brown community. That was just immigrants. That was just people who were on food stamps or Social Security. But now it's everybody. And yet, and still, I don't hear and or see everybody upset enough to do something. And I think that's where I'm at, where you said you might be the wrong word, but you used anxious. I'm not anxious. I'm disappointed that there's not a plan A, B, and C for what do we do now. We have an A, B, and C for what to do to vote. We should have an A, B, and C what to do when things go crazy. When they go crazy in your own backyard, whether it's in the political organizations that are right here in our counties, or if it's people that are right here in our counties. And then as it grows out, it just gets worse. But why don't we have a plan A, B, and C And then that emergency X or whatever, where it's like, okay, it's plan X, everybody, this is what you're going to do. You're voting for the following, and this is why. And when we get to, there's a code, I should know it, I can't remember what it is, but there is a code that is nationwide. And when that code is given, you know that a child is missing.
Amber Alert.
What is it?
Amber
It's
Alert.
in a store though. Maybe no, it's before they do the Amber Alert. There's I gotta look it up. I can't remember what it is. But if they say that, everybody knows, whether it's an airport, it's a museum, it's a school. They just know a child is missing. And they give the description, and you're supposed to be looking for this child. And so I'm saying that we should have some kind of something that when that is given, that everybody knows that means whatever they say, that's what I'm going to do. This is how I need to do it. And we just have to make it happen. How we get there, I'm not sure, because we can't even have the same talking points. We can't even be in a room with people that don't look like us and accept them for who they are. So I know I'm a little off topic on that, but that's where that takes me, Jerry, is to, okay,
Code Adam.
when is enough? What?
Code Adam.
Yes. Thank you.
And Derek.
But when you ever hear Code Adam, that means that's what you're supposed to do. You immediately look for this child. But if we had a code, whatever.
Code pink is for infant abductions, and code purple or other codes for missing child. In hospitals. Yep. What it said. I had to chat GPT that because I didn't know.
We kind of hit on that a little bit today at the meeting, because it was a concerning slogans. You know, the question was asked, what we remember about the Obama campaign, and three things that, I remember him talking about hope and change and yes, we can. That was powerful. And all of that was the introduction to Obama, but then he went on to explain his bullet point. And I think some kind of way we got to come up with some kind of good catchphrase or slogan, whichever we do too.
Yes, we can, right? Isn't that it?
Yes, we can. That was one of his catchphrases. When they asked, "Can we win?" Yes, we can. So, what was it? What was the name of that? Derek Adam, Code
Adam.
Code Adam. Yeah, but like Jill said, we need something like that, so that alert people to get out and do something. So yeah, that would be great to have something like that. But is it enough time to coordinate something like that? I guess.
Well, and I don't know that there's enough time. I just know that it is the time to coordinate something like that, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know how long that would take,
right.
But I know that with the way things are going, we can't just do things the way we always do them, because that's not going to work anymore. I don't know that it worked before, but it absolutely will not work now.
No, one of the things that I think we miss, and those were the yard signs for redundancy, to get people when they leave out their house, they see this candidate name, that it also remind them on that candidate poster was the day they supposed to go vote in many instances, and most instances, I believe. But I think we need to have a lot of those out everywhere. It was a certain energy to that when they were doing it, when it was being done. I know everything that went television and social media, but people on social media, a lot of them are strolling past these things, and a lot of people not watching the news anymore because they done got just frustrated with it and see nothing but misinformation coming out. So they didn't just tune out. So some kind of way we got to get them tuned back in. And that may be something that we can do from now between now and November.
Let's talk a little bit about Louisiana versus Calais. I know many of you have heard you've heard on the news and they talk about Louisiana versus Calais, and you've seen the after effects of what's happened with that decision, but you may not know anything about what happened in that court case and where we are today. So I just wanted to share with you a little bit about it. And Louisiana versus Calais, federal judges ordered the Louisiana legislature to redraw its 2022 congressional map because it unlawfully diluted the votes of Black Louisianans, and it was in violation of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, right? The 2024, they redrew the map and it maintained a majority minority district, but it also added a second Black majority district there in Louisiana. And a group of white Louisianans challenged the 2024 Louisiana congressional map in a lawsuit, arguing that it was drawn based on race. So it gave it a second majority minority, which means for those, just call it as a Black district. And it argued that it was drawn based on race and went to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court weighed whether Louisiana lawmakers properly considered constitutional protections and the Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act when enacting a new congressional map that includes 2 majority Black districts in 2024. And we saw what their end result was, that it violated Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, and they ended up deconstructing or dismantling the last vestiges of the Voting Rights Act. And so as it related, what you saw from that is a lot of states. You saw Tennessee immediately after the decision of Louisiana versus Calais go to redraw its maps. Now, we've heard congressional gerrymandering, and they talked about it. We know that we experienced it here in the state of Florida, but that was pre Louisiana versus Calais. The rest of the southern states did it after the decision. So you saw Tennessee take the lead. You saw Alabama follow suit, and then Mississippi, et cetera, Georgia. They're all going to redraw their maps to either parcel out the Black majority minority districts or dilute the vote, which means that you're spreading Black voters in areas that they no longer have a voice. So needless to say, what this does not do is it does not preclude you from voting. So I don't want anybody to believe that Louisiana versus Calais means that you can no longer vote. That's not what it's saying. What it did say for those people in those areas is that you can't have a district based on your skin color. So we're going to draw your representation out. So you no longer, in like Louisiana, which has a heavily Black population, no longer can have Black representation. So it will be your representation will be strictly white for all intents and purposes. Mr. McIntosh, say more.
Yeah, it's so disconcerting that Judge Roberts, who have been for 40 years, wanted to get rid of Section 2, Section 4 and 5 of the Voting Rights Act, and he had been working on this 40 years to get rid of it. And when the Bakke case first came up, people don't realize that all this was tied together. The Bakke case, all these like the quota system came under the civil rights, from the civil rights movement, and other programs that has been abolished since Roberts and this right-wing court came into power. Well, when the Bakke case overturned the quota system, that was to me a shot across the bow of the proverbial ship that we should have been fighting back harder back then in 1978, because then they began to pick away at all of the gains that we had made, whether it was in education and whether it was the Voting Rights Act, whether it was affirmative action. All of these are gone now. Affirmative action, the Voting Rights, Fair Housing Act. Most people don't realize how devastating they're going to be when they do all these cuts to housing. And those people who live in the housing areas, that's government housing, or what we call projects and all of that, that's going to have a detrimental effect on a lot of people economically that they are not prepared for, because most people that live in housing don't have the money in the first place, or they wouldn't be there. So it's going to affect people all over the country. Then in Louisiana, in Louisiana, if you end up homeless, you could be in jail for the first offense could be 6 months, and after that, 2 years. So, you know, these are the kinds of things that they are doing to, if you don't have these rights to vote, they can use that as a means to put you away, because they need slave labor in this country. So we have to warn people as much as possible about what is happening as far as this regime is concerned, and what they are doing, along with the Republican Congress and senators who are doing this to us, who are doing this to the American people. Is going to have a devastating effect, because the Roberts Court is doing what Tanner and them did with the Dred Scott decision, with the Plessy versus Ferguson decision. Now, the Civil Rights Act, all of that gone, because the whole thing that held the civil rights movement, what was in the Civil Rights Bill together, was the Voting Rights Act, was to be able to participate in the processes and to elect people from our community to help write legislation and laws to protect the civil rights of our people, and education and all of that, to protect Title IX with women athletes. So it's just a whole host of things that was tied to that now could be is being erased and not funded anymore.
Bill?
Vernon, are you available? Did you want to ask the question? I know I answered it, but Derek probably can answer it even better than I answered it, that you had, because I'm thinking some of our listening audience might want to know about how does the redistricting impact voters. Do you remember your question?
No, I don't remember my question. Help me.
Okay, so you asked how did it dilute if they were just moving lines? Why couldn't people just go vote?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, okay. Thank you for, I think I learned a little bit better, but you still are able to vote. And so I was wondering if, for an example, if you live in District 3, right? And you was able to vote just in District 3, nobody outside of District 3 could vote for District 3. Am I right?
As long as it's a single member district. And right, you're right. If you live outside of District 3, you cannot vote in District 3. You have to vote in the district you live in. Like, I live in 5. What, you live in 1 or 2, Vern?
I live in 2. But my question is, if somebody in District 3, if I live in District 3, even though they're gonna redraw the map, right? Well, if they redraw it, we still have a District 3, so to speak. I'm a little confused on how it all works out. In other words, what I'm saying is, if you live in, even after it all said and done, right, and you still live in District 3, and then they are going to be voting on a kind of commissioner in District 3. Okay. Now,
Talking about
still,
at large, if they turn it back to an at large district.
No,
yeah,
he's
if they go ahead.
So
maybe I can help. So Derek, last week you said,
Mhm.
I hate to even get into it, but we'll just say District 20, and they changed 22, and they changed it. So he was saying, but there's still people in District 20, 22, 23, 3, whatever district it is.
Mm-hmm.
So how come those people couldn't basically go out and vote and elect who they need to elect, even if they had a galvanize, or even if let's say they couldn't do it in District 3, as he said, but they gerrymandered them into District 2, then take District 2. How come they can't just take back wherever they put them? And I was telling him because they disperse them. They make sure that doesn't happen. But
So
I figure you could
yes,
answer it better.
let's talk about gerrymandering in that thing. So gerrymandering kind of comes in the way they do it, and the concept that they do it is in two different forms. One is called packing, and the other one is cracking. And it sounds, but it sounds just the way it is. So when you gerrymander, and the packing part is you take, like, for example, black voters, and you pack them into one specific district so that those voters can then vote for a specific representative or have black representation. So using it, if you look at it in an example, the way we have it in Escambia County, most of our black voter base is in District 3. Not all, but a majority of them. They're in the urban core of Pensacola. So they have packed all of those folks into that district. And as a result, they've been able to successfully elect a black representative, whether it be your black school board member, your black county commissioner, people on your city council. That's the one thing. The second way they do it is the form is called cracking, and cracking is exactly what you're seeing happen. A great example of this is what they're doing with the city of Memphis. We know that Memphis is packed into one district, and the majority of those folks in that area are black. They are taking those voters and dispersing them into the surrounding districts that have more white voters or more white Republican voters. And so what ends up happening is that your vote becomes diluted because you're not able to choose the representative that you would like to choose, because you don't have enough weight in your vote, or collectively there's not enough of you to make a difference in that race. So having said that, if you move half of District 3 or a quarter of District 3, let's just say District 3, for example, use that because that's what we're familiar with in Escambia County. If you move voters out of District 3 and move them into District 5, which is north of 9 Mile Road, if you carve that out like Lincoln Park, and let's say Wedgwood, and put those into District 5. And let's say you put more of some of the voters in District 3 that are in the avenues, like 9th, 10th, 12th Avenue, you put them into District 4. And then the other ones that are on the west side, you put those voters into District 2. They still don't have enough combined voting power to elect their representation that they want. So it fragments their vote, therefore diluting it. So that's what we're seeing happen across the nation. And we're seeing it. We see it so much in South Florida, although our gerrymandering in the state of Florida took place before the Louisiana versus Calais decision, but you're seeing it happen, and certainly in South Florida. And so that's why, even if you take, it's not like you're moving all of the voters out of the one district into another district. So therefore you would be able to capitalize and do the same thing in the new district that you were in the old district. Your vote is now, whether you might have had your ratio was, 7-1 in let's say District 3, your ratio is now 1-6 in District 2. So your voting power, you still are able to vote, and you still can vote for the candidate of your choice, but the likelihood that that candidate will win is slim to none because there's not enough combined voting power in that district.
So
Does that make sense?
Again, my question is then, that means then everything's going to be an at-large voting. There's no district. There are not going to be any district voting anymore. Everything going to be at-large. I'm still a little lost on that. What I'm saying. Let me give you a case, an example, which is probably a stupid example, but I'm going to ask it anyway. If they redistricted, if they gerrymandered District 3, for an example, okay? And when you gerrymander, I don't know what all that means. They're going to take people out of District 3 and put them in District 2, or just change District 3 to, let's say we got an all-black district right now in District 3. They're just going to run around and make District 3 on this, where the north side of town now, where the white people live. And then, but on the south side of town where the black people live, they got to fall in somebody's district, right? My question is, are they going to still be able to vote per district, or would they be able to vote? Are they going to be able to vote just generally speaking? My point is, if I can win, if I can put a person, whatever, if I live in District 3 right now, I don't know where I would after gerrymandering. That's, for the sake of our argument, I'm still going to be in District 3, right? And because I'm not going to move out of District 3. So, and any candidate that's going to run and I can vote, and only the voters of District 3 can vote for District 3, the population is still remaining. The population still remains there.
That's where the off is right now. What you're saying. So the voters. Here's the long and short of it. In Escambia County, District 3 will not be carved up. So they're not going to redraw the lines for District 3. Right now, we have what's called single member districts, which means that only residents of District 3 can vote for District 3. Going forward, when the lawsuit is filed, and if it's successful, they will go to then at-large districts, which means that not only will District 3 residents vote for District 3, but Districts 2, Districts 1, Districts 4, and Districts 5 will also vote for District 3. Does that make sense? So you're not moving.
Everybody gets going to be voting at large.
Everybody's going to be voting for everybody. Yes. So your ability to elect a Democrat or elect a black elected official in District 3 will essentially go away because your vote is diluted because we're less than 26% of the demographic and even less of the percentage of the voting demographic. So you're not going to be able to elect the black elected for any of the districts, whether you're talking about Districts 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5.
Well, I guess then we got to go back to where we was originally, doing block voting and voting the lesser of the evils.
Yeah, but the thing about it, Bern, even at that, we would have to come up with a whole new strategy of voting, meaning that, I know that this year is crazy to say. Some people might have to vote Republicans in order to keep the most vile Republicans from winning. Yeah, you know what I'm saying. But the thing about it, like Derek say, once you go to at large, everything is off the table for us because that was the whole purpose. Because we couldn't get nobody elected before. At large, and the one person that did get elected, they took it from him. I think back in the 40s or something like that, maybe 50s. I forgot what I read, but anyway, that our chances of winning a seat would be slim to none, as Derek said. So we're
Well,
gonna have to.
well,
We're gonna
Jared,
have to.
then we have to. Maybe we just got to end up with a one-party system then, because if we know we can't win democratically, we know we can't win black. Okay, I would change. I would change mine. I would
Absolutely not.
be I'd be a what you call it?
Absolutely not.
But Derek, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. Don't y'all listen. You've been basing it based on principle right now. But I would. Well, you're probably not as revengeful as I am. Okay, I would change party just to vote against the nominees that I didn't like. Okay, as opposed to sitting over there in the Republican, in the Democratic Party, fat, dumb, and happy, and watching them elect some fool that I don't like. I'm a person that give me, if I can't have what I want, give me the lesser of the evils, okay? And so we're gonna have to do something. We just can't. We don't have enough people in the Democratic Party as it is to make any big stride. But when they start redistricting what y'all talking about right now, we ain't gonna have no choice but to vote Republicans sometime. That going crazy, but think about it for a minute, okay? And you would rather sit there, you rather sit on the sideline, or go back to Jill's example. Jill, I know we're going back to the pig. We're going back into the mud pen now, okay? You just can't sit on the bank watching these folks in this mud. You can't stop them that way. You got to get in that mud with them. And so, go ahead, Jerry. I might not be making no sense, but
to me, where it do make sense, they did it in Okaloosa one year.
It doesn't make sense. That's what I was going to tell you. I'm glad that Jill came back, because I was about to tell you, it's like when Jill comes back, she will tell you why switching parties is an absolute no, and it does not make sense.
Right.
So, I want to hear why.
Well, first of all, they did do it in the thought process that they could then, because if they switched, they thought that they could select who they wanted. That didn't work. But more importantly, they never switched back years later, because they thought, think about it. If you take 20,000, let's just say you could get that many people to switch over, because you have to make an impact. So it's going to have to be a significant amount. It can't be 10 or 15. 20,000, let's say, switch over. You, in the primary, get to select who you want. And then who's going to be responsible for making sure those 20,000 switch back?
Well, you don't need to switch back if you're getting some results.
Well, what result are you going to get? Do you know how many you would need? That doesn't even make any sense. But I like it, Vernon. But I like it for you. But I'm saying that doesn't make any sense. What results would you get, except for you would think and hope? And think about what you'd have to have. So I'm going to use Okaloosa because that's who did it. Okaloosa County has 3 times as many Republicans. So let's say all of the Democrats switch over. Let's just take them all. Take all 26,000 of them.
Okay.
Unless, let's say 75,000, let's say, unless another 25,000 Republicans and them are picking the same person, it doesn't make any sense. You'd have to all want, let's just say.
Well, Jill, let me ask you this question then. I hear you. I hear y'all.
That would just be the primary.
I hear your theory. I don't
hear that's reality.
But how many elected Democrats you got in Okaloosa County?
4.
Okay. That's what I'm saying now. You're not making any real progress anyway.
No, we are, because we have 4. Now you can go to Santa Rosa and maybe say that, but we have 4. We have 0. So we're making progress because we have 4.
Okay.
So we are. Maybe it's comfortable for you to say that because you guys have several and have always had several elected Democrats.
Only because
they really thought that what we'll do is, and the concept at that time, not now, that would not work. But at that time, they were thinking we don't have a Democrat that can win, so we'll switch to Republican and try to impact the primary. But there wasn't enough of them to impact the primary, And more importantly, they didn't switch back. And yes, it does matter because, you get into, I don't know if you just, I guess don't, how can I say this nicely? This is going to be Jill's opinion. I honestly believe that at some point very early in life, Republicans are given something. I don't know if it's formula or Tata milk, but whatever it is that makes them think and do what they do. And so it seems, and look at the people who have done it, that when you switch to that party, you change. The Kool-Aid becomes part of your life, and you can know it's a lie and say the lie and think it's truth. And so I wouldn't suggest that anybody change their party. I'd say change the way you vote. I'm not telling you not to change your vote. So I'm not going to say that we aren't trying, because that would be a lie. We would like to talk to MPAs but let's split it. We want to talk to MPAs so that they can actually vote in the primary. So there's a little bit different. To give them the opportunity to choose a party so that they can actually vote. Then after the primary, we want to talk to Democrats, Republicans, MPAs, and all of the other parties there are to give them the educated information that they need to make the right choice. You can stay a Republican. We're just asking that you vote for your family first, then your community. And that means that you have to look outside of your comfort zone and see that there are people hurting, that there are people that are broken, there are people that are being snatched away, there are people that are being killed, there are people that just because of the color of the skin, who they love, what they look like, etc. Be the change, do something. So no, I don't think that telling everybody to become a Republican is going to fix it. Because then who are they going to vote for? Jimmy Petronas? How is that helping us?
You might could get a better Republican. I don't know.
Better Republicans start running.
Conceptually, that doesn't even make sense. There's 26,000 Democrats. If they all changed over and wanted that new person, let's say Mr. Apple, Mr. Apple would have 26,000 votes plus the few of the other whoever's, but the other 70,000, 60,000 still are going to be more than what we have.
Jill. Okay. All right. Y'all just please help me understand this, okay? If I were a Republican running for office in a ruby bright red, ruby red area like we got, right? And I run against these Republicans, and I know damn well the Democrats don't stand one prayer and chance of getting anybody elected. Okay. Now, I would want to coat that 26,000 Democrats to vote for me. I would be the person that says, okay, I'm going to be the Republican that's going to look after Democrats, if you vote for me, I'm going to look after your interests as well. Okay. As opposed to the ones that is not going to look at your interests. So, but that 26,000, if you swing your 26,000 votes to him, he can win over his radical opponent. That don't make sense to you?
Not if there are 80,000 people. Like, if you got
75,000, and most of them, look at the numbers, even in Gay's race, look at the numbers, they still vote the other way. You would have needed, so for that to work, you'd have to get all the MPAs. There's 31,000, I believe.
No. But listen at me though. I'm not what I'm saying though, unless I'm missing your point. My point is, let's just use an example that we got 26,000 Democrats, right? That we know that is not going to be able to be elected dog catcher, right? We know that. Now, if I was, and if I'm a Republican, I know that, but I want to run. But you're going to run 26,000 might make the difference in winning or losing in a Republican race. So why wouldn't I coat that Democratic Party and said, look, if you swing your votes my way, I would give you a piece of the pie. You know, you hear what I'm saying? Like we did, but we had to do that when everything come in the full
the
circle again.
75,000 aren't going to swing your way, so you're still going to lose.
No, you're missing the point. You're missing the point.
I'm not missing the point. If you've got 75, if you got 75,000 Republicans and only 26,000 Democrats, and the Republican says, "Hey, Democrats, swing my way," that's all they heard. You might get 26,000 Democrats, but you're not going to get 75,000 Republicans. So what would be the point to do that?
I don't understand your point. My point is, listen at me for a minute. My point is, if you're running as a Republican, okay, 75,000 Republicans, for an example,
and two Republicans running.
Right, you're right, and 26,000 Democrats, right? Now, you're gonna try to tell me that 26,000 votes wouldn't make a difference in a two-man race? You're trying to say to me that all 75,000 people are going to vote for that one radical Republican. I say not. I say that even without the Democrat support, he was still the leader of the Republican would still get X number of votes. But if he can carry the 26,000 Democrats, that would give him a shot of winning, right?
So no, it would give him a shot of winning, but he'd still come in second. And here's why.
I don't believe that.
You can't talk one way, Vernon. Listen, you can't talk one way, and because you're running, think that it's going to change. Didn't you yourself with Bill Snow and maybe even Jerry say the problem is Democrats can't get on one accord and they all can't do the same thing at the same time. So you're going to change 26,000 Democrats, and half of them are going to vote for you, and a portion are going to vote for them, and the other portion aren't going to vote. So no, that doesn't work. That's the first reason. The second reason it doesn't work is because look at when, probably the numbers I know the best are Matt Gaetz. When Matt Gaetz ran, whether they liked him, didn't like them, and many people didn't like them, they voted for him anyway. So if you came in and said, okay, I'm running against Matt Gaetz, I'm a Republican, I'm going to go court, which I'm not telling you not to do, in the primary, I can guarantee you that your fellow Republican friends, or operative, maybe that's the better thing, they are now knowing, and I can tell you for a fact when this happened, knowing that you did that, you're getting blackballed. And why do I know that? Because in Okaloosa County, there was he used to be, can't remember his name, but he was very well respected in the Republican Party and the Chamber of Commerce chair for years, and they loved him. He came to a meeting of a social club. It was a Democratic social club, but it was literally just a social club at a restaurant. And all we wanted to do was to hear, you're running, all of you Republicans, we just want you to talk about what the heck you're going to do and how you can help Democrats, and here's what we would like you to do. And they literally blackballed him because he came and told him why and made sure he didn't win. So yes, Vernon, you could do that. But I can tell you that the Republican Party, and I'm not a Republican, never been a Republican, not going to be a Republican, but the Republican Party, somewhere deeply written in the recipe for the Kool-Aid is that if you turn on them, they got you. Don't worry, we got you. So what I'm saying is, conceptually, you want it to make sense, but 26,000 isn't enough. Now, if we were in a place where there was 60,000 and then 70,000 and you only have a 10,000 difference, maybe, but you're never going to get, even if you change you're not going to get the whole party to switch. Even if they switch, it doesn't mean they're going to choose you. You're brand new. I might want to choose the other person so that they can pay off my taxes or all them, underhanded deals, give me my property and let me do whatever like they do in Okaloosa. They think we don't know, but we know. But you know what I mean? It just doesn't, that we have to find, that's not the answer. So they tried it. Sabu and them. I don't think he was the one who said do it.
So
but
what
he
is
was
that?
part
So
of
we
it,
just
and he can
screwed?
tell you it did not
So why
work.
should I even vote then? We screwed.
Are you
Well,
serious? Why should you even vote?
Yeah. Why should I even bother to vote?
We're not
If I
screwed.
can't get a candidate of my choice, of my choosing, why in the hell would I need to vote?
So be clear, in Escambia County, this hasn't happened yet, right? So of course you absolutely
We're
need to
talking
vote.
hypothetically now, okay?
Well, it's not really hypothetical. It's going to happen, but it has not happened. You vote now this year so you can put people in place to block what they want to do, because all this stuff still has to be ratified by the Board of County Commissioners, by the great case in point, great excellent point, because this is real time, is in the mayor in the city of Pensacola. Right now, we've talked about going to at-large districts for the county, because that's where the court order is upheld specifically for the county. They then have to turn around and make another suit for the city of Pensacola because it has its own separate charter. So just because you go to at-large districts in the county does not necessarily mean you're going to go to the city. This is why you vote this year, certainly, if no other year, is because you want to have, let's say, they move to do this in the city and they want to have that. What will end up happening is that it will go through, even if the city council voted to go back to at-large districts, you want to make sure you have someone in the mayoral race, in the mayoral's office, whether you're talking about Jermaine Williams, whether if it's Ann Hill, you want to have somebody on your side that can veto the decision that's made by city council. So when it goes back to city council, instead of having a simple majority, it now takes 2/3 of the city council, which means that it wouldn't pass. That's why it's critical to vote. You can't just say no, we're unwilling to vote. And in Okaloosa County, they have 3-1. Three Republicans to 1 Democrat. That same metric is not that same ratio does not exist in Escambia County. It's still difficult, but it doesn't exist. So what we would never do is the two things that I would never advocate for is for someone to switch parties or someone to not vote, because not vote is a vote. You're giving your right to vote at that point in time. So this is why you would never say that.
I don't agree with you on that. Okay. And we respectfully disagree because I cannot believe that when it comes down to a general election and I have a whole bunch of Republicans that I don't like, why in the hell I'm going to go and vote for any of them? So again, I would be better not to vote for them.
So again, I'm going to say two things. Nobody get mad at me. Escambia, you're spoiled. That is our life every day. Yet we still continue to fight. And what happened? We now have 4 Democrats and we keep going. We hold them accountable. We don't give up. We don't give in.
How long are you going to have them?
You can say that, but you didn't say that back in the day
in this current environment, how long you think you're going to keep them, though? In this current environment?
Well,
you might have gained them under the
years.
Okay, but look at the years you gained them under that. Look where you're living under now. Vernon, with all of this stuff that's going on right now, you're not going to hold on to those 4 folks.
So Jerry, help Vernon out. When you guys were marching and going on the Edmund Pettus Bridge and all of that, when there was when we couldn't vote at all, then we fighting to vote, but then we can't vote for who we want, so don't vote.
Right.
Like, make it make sense to those of us that I wasn't there then, but I'm listening to the history and I'm trying to make sure that we preserve.
But sound like me, y'all talking about both sides of your mouths to me now. Because when I advocated voting for the lesser of the evils, you didn't like that either. But now, if I can't vote for the lesser of the evils, why in the hell should I vote?
Well,
because I know a Democrat if a Democrat cannot win, period, and we know he's not going to, at the end of the day, he's not going to be on the ballot to win. So why should I waste my time in November in a general election to go vote for a damn Republican that I don't like? if I can't vote for the least of the evil of them?
So in November, if there were no Democrat or whatever, you vote for the lesser of the evil if you can figure out who the lesser of the evil, because the people thought the lesser of the evil between Kamala and the person in the White House was the person in the White House. So first of all, they got to have their mindset straight and understand. But I don't think that we're in a space and a place, especially with our voices being able to touch people, that that even the thought of not voting should be a discussion. Yes, you might not get who you want, so you know what you do? You hold them accountable. That's what you do. You hold them accountable. What does that look like? That doesn't mean you go hide in your little shell or go sit on your couch where you're comfortable. That means every time you get an opportunity, as many of you do in Escambia County, because you guys had the book bans, you were out there, you were speaking about it. Everything that they're doing, you guys organize, you galvanize, you get together, and some things have been stopped, even with the people that we didn't want, because the people stood together, spoke up. Doesn't happen all the time, but we can't give up. We can't just say, well, we're not going to get who we want, so therefore we're just going to do nothing.
I think the everything lies in the economy of America, and through our resources that we spend, we consume so much in this country. One of the things we're going to have to do, I think we could stop a lot of things cold if we decided to withdraw our resources from our degradation. And that means our finances, that we should not be spending our money with people that support. We need to know who are supporting these Republicans, these virulent right-wing Republicans that's so far to the right, and these Christian nationalists, that we should not do business with them at all.
I agree with that now.
Yeah, because that is the thing that's going to change a lot of things. That's what changed the reason we got so many people elected to office, because people were participating in boycotts all over the country. It wasn't just in Montgomery. It was in Tennessee. It was in, Ohio, Cleveland, and other places where, these stores that were not hiring Black people. And that's why I was talking about the quota system. Even though a lot of time they weren't hiring people, they had to hire because of the quota system, which gave more money to our community to participate in processes that help get people elected because we were able to afford to give them the resources they needed to get elected. And so we came from 1,500 nationwide to thousands nationwide now, but we are subject to lose thousands because of redistricting, because of the lack of people participating, as well as redistricting. Some 90 million people decided not to vote in the last election, but they don't realize by not voting, they did vote. Not voting, you do vote, because you're going to end up with people that you don't want. But then I'm sure that there are going to be some people, Republicans, that voted, and I know now all the right wing are trying to outflank each other with the Christian nationalists and all of these other people that are running for office. So the thing that we'll have to do is make sure that we withdraw our resources so that they will understand that we want single member districts all over the country. Not at large where we cannot get people elected, not packing and cracking our communities like they're doing in Memphis and like they're doing in other places. And in the South, they are doing everything they they moved. As soon as the ruling came down, the same day they started gerrymandering and redistricting our community. The same day, they didn't even get a thing time enough to pull off the decision the next day, but they did it the same day they started. So this is why we have to be in unison with each other. Those who are Democrats, and I'm talking white Democrats as well, who understand that if we are not on the playing field, that they will not be on the playing field either, because they will not get elected. You know, you can't become the quarterback if you can't get elected. So they're gonna need to step up to the plate. In other words.
Well, speaking of unison, speaking of white candidates being in unison with black folks, let's talk for the last 14 minutes or so about what's happening in the state of Florida, particularly in Congressional District 20. For those unaware, Congressional District 20 is one of the last two black access seats here in the state of Florida. Congressional District 20 consists of voters in Broward County, and that seat was held by the late Alcee Hastings, who then, upon his going to sleep, I'm channeling Sunshine, upon him going to sleep, former Congresswoman Sheila Sherfilis McCormick won that seat. And now, the seat remains vacant because Congresswoman Sheila Sherfilis McCormick resigned amidst accusation of corruption and fraud. Now, as we move forward, and the other seat is Congressional District 24, which is currently held by forever Congresswoman Frederica Wilson, who has just most recently announced that she is not going to be seeking re-election. Congressional District 24 is Miami-Dade County, for those unaware, and so she will not be seeking re-election. But in Congressional District 20, we have Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz, who is a white Jewish lady who has decided that she knows what's best for black voters in Broward County and is running to fill that seat, despite there being, was it six current black candidates in that seat. What say you all? Do you think that black access seats should remain for black representation, or is it okay for folks who are allies to the community to also seek and fill those seats? What say you, Mr. McIntosh?
I say the seat should remain black because we don't have enough representation as it is. And that's because, and I'm saying that because our children need to see us in the seat of power and authority, as representing their interests, being able to, see themselves running for office in the future. Deborah Wasserman Schultz, she's all right, but it was things that I didn't like that, that she had done in the past. So, no, I don't think she should be running in that district. I think it should be a black district left to black people to determine who, what a black representative, determine who the black representative is going to be representing them, not her imposing herself onto black people.
Mr. Vernon, what do you think?
I thought that wasn't sure she's not black.
No, Debbie Wasserman Schultz is like 100% not black.
Okay. I was thinking y'all making my point. Okay. Now what she wants to do is go over there and because she's losing her seat, right? And she's gonna move over to somebody else's seat. And now, but my point is, who you gonna elect? Okay, the evil or the lesser of the evil. Okay. And
keep in mind, again, Debbie Wasserman Schultz is not evil. She's a good Democratic candidate.
My point.
So, yeah.
Don't take me literally, but I'm trying to make a point about if she's gonna run against some other black person, or you're gonna elect her as opposed to somebody else. I don't know. Who do y'all who is the best of the candidate? That's the question. That's what we should be asking ourselves. Number two things I think we should ask ourselves, okay? Who would be the candidate that would best represent us? And who is the candidate that is most electable? Okay, we got to start thinking about electable candidates as opposed to, and then sometimes I guess that might be the very first thing. If we want a Democrat to be elected, okay, a lot of folks out there want to run, but they might not can't get elected, and that's the problem that we have. We trying to, just like we did with Biden. I mean, with the Biden administration.
So let's talk about Congressional District 20, because I have a follow-up question, just so you understand the demographics of Congressional District 20. No matter who's going to run, it will be a Democratic seat because the majority of voters in Broward County are Democratic. So the likelihood that it would go to a Republican would be, I think, the devil would be wearing a fur coat because it's chilly. Like, it's just not going to happen, right? Two, Jill, correct me if I'm wrong, you said 49% of the electorate in Broward County is Black. So it is, the likelihood that is going to a Democrat is like 99%. The likelihood that it's going to Black, that's in question. So you made a point, which I would then ask you. You said, who is the better candidate, or who's the best candidate?
Yeah.
In this seat where it is a Black access seat, the only one of two, which means that we will only have two Black congressional delegates in the state of Florida to the U.S. House of Representatives. Only two would come from Florida. Do you prioritize them being someone Black or someone more experienced?
I'm walking the fence on that, to be honest with you, because if you get a Black person like the lady that just resigned because of corruption, of course not. Okay, so we want somebody going to represent the race as a also represent us in terms of quality and quality. We want a quality candidate. I would think you would want. I wouldn't want to vote just for a Black candidate if they're not going to represent us well. I wouldn't vote for Donaldson, and I wouldn't vote for Clarence Thomas. So if they're not going to serve us well, even though they are maybe a Democrat, okay. So we got to choose the candidate that's going to best serve our overall interest, and we're going to have to choose a candidate that we know that's electable. Okay.
Everybody's electable because everybody's electable because
everybody's not electable.
I disagree. Everybody's electable because people can vote. If people vote, then you can get elected.
I know, but don't you getting too literally. Okay, I'm talking the just factual that whether or not a person could really stand a reasonable chance of being elected. Okay, that there are people that running for office even in this town now don't stand a snowball chance of getting elected. Okay, those votes, I think, and the few votes people that they peel off is taking away votes from somebody that could be elected. So that's what I'm talking about.
But Vernon, in that particular district, it is a Black district. So whoever come out of there gonna come out as a Democrat. But my thing is, it should be a Black Democrat.
That would be my preference, Jerry. But if you're going to get a corrupt Black Democrat, would you rather have a corrupt Black Democrat or a liberal white Democrat?
Yeah, but I'm saying that now we don't. But that is hypothetical there, Vernon.
Right,
we don't know.
Right.
We don't know who if these people are running. Then they have to have. People have to know who they are. They have to have put some information out there, and people did opposition research on them. You can bet that. But the thing about it, I'm just saying, out of a district where we would be not privy to two seats in the state of Florida.
I got a question, Jerry.
We can't lose that one.
I know, but what's the big deal with her going into the race then? If we know
Who's her?
that black folks, listen, hold it there. If we know that black folks are going to vote black, right? And then she shouldn't have to worry about, you wouldn't have to worry, you shouldn't care about whether she entered the race or not, right?
Because I'll tell you why. Because
Why?
currently in the race, there are six
Six right
black
now. There
candidates.
was seven. There's six.
Six. There was seven. There are now six.
Mm-hmm.
Six black candidates in a race where there are 50, where the electorate is 50% black. Let's just say you fracture that 50% seven ways.
Mm-hmm.
I keep calling that lady Debbie Carson Powell. Debbie Wasserman Schultz
Schultz. Uh-huh.
Walk in.
takes white voters and Hispanic voters, and therefore becomes the Democratic nominee.
Yep, and Hispanic voters are 30%, so it's automatic.
Your point is what?
That's what the problem is.
Yes,
I know,
That's
but by her not being in the race, then what? You still got 6 ways to go. So the white voters and Hispanic voters are going to go
in a black access seat.
I hear that. Yeah, I hear you. I hear that point. Okay. I don't know I don't know nothing about that district, and I don't know who all running and anything like that. But I understand I understand the purpose of it. I understand where you're coming from. I'm just looking at it from a different perspective. Is that if we truly wanted to be represented, if we truly wanted a Democrat, what's more important for that? To have a Democratic representative or black representative? What's more important?
It's going to be Democratic. I don't think those are the choices. To me, that's not the choice. It's whether you want, in a black access seat, do you want a black representative or do you want someone non-black as a representative in a black access seat?
Now, keep in mind, my preference would be if somebody's black. Okay.
So right, but understand. So here's some things without, because we're trying not to say people's names just because we're not supposed to be choosing. But the person that Alcee Hastings wanted to take his seat is running.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a question on whether they're corrupt, not corrupt, whatever. This is Alcee Hastings had the seat before he passed away. There is one of the people the person that he asked to run, and then there's other people that are running.
But I know that's gonna be left. That's not gonna be left up to him. He's asleep. It's gonna be left up to the voters.
What I'm saying.
What if
the person's corrupt? What if this? I'm telling you that one of the people that is running, not to say that they're going to win because there's 6 other people in the race, but the person that he handpicked to take the seat is running. So it's not going to be on whether it's corrupt or not corrupt. But because there's 6 of them, even let's say that person is the perfect person or somebody else, one of the 6 of them is the perfect person, or at least the one that should be chosen.
So are you saying that
in the race?
They got one person that's favored to win, right?
No, I can't say that. If Alcee Hastings was speaking and you're an Alcee Hastings supporter, then yes. But there are others, young people that like another one.
Let's assume for the sake of our discussion here, the Hastings candidate is the candidate of choice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And most folks in that district is going to probably support what in other words, he endorsing from the grave. So if that is leading person that going to be in that seat, okay, is that person will outshine those other 5 people, the other 5 black people that's in there. Let's forget about Debbie Washington Schultz being in the race right now. Let's think about the other 5 black. I'm assuming they're black, right? The other 5 are black that's running.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now, would the white people and the Hispanic people will support the Hastings recommendation? No?
I would think not, but
They will. I don't know who they would support, but they would have 6 choices. That's the thing. They have 6 choices already. If you add her, now you have a 7th choice.
So
so if the black people are going to, if let's just say, because some of them are going to like Debbie, that's just going to be the way it is. They're not. I can't tell you 100% of them are going to, of the 49% are going to vote that way, but the majority are going to vote that way. But they have 6 choices, and there's 6 different backgrounds. It's, do you like Alcee Hastings? Are you the younger demographic? Are you a Sheila fan that ride or die no matter what? It is a race.
Now, are you saying, but regardless of who get elected, whether it was Debbie or it was for Hastings or for the other 5, right? As long as they represent the interests of that district, what does it matter?
So, okay.
Let's do 901. We need to table this.
Let's table it. Yeah. Yeah. All right.
We will come back because it'll still be happening next week.
But aren't we trying to elect people that are going to support our best interests?
Well, yeah, for sure. I think the people that's running going to be in the best interest of to represent. Right.
But let's add the fact that she doesn't live in that district. Right. So she has a district she lives in, she could run in.
Yeah.
So it's not like she lives there and she's doing it. She's going to a black district that has been black for years because it's comfortable, because it's easy.
I get it, shocking, y'all.
You're right. I get one representative when we could have 2 if she go do what she does so well in her own district in 22.
She's not going to win no people. That's why she's coming over there.
Despite the voter base telling her, we don't want you.
Right.
She's still running.
Yeah. Yeah, she imposing herself upon.
They don't vote for her.
Yeah, they probably not. Hopefully not.
But that's the point.
But
even if they don't,
it doesn't
there's still 30% of Hispanic and whatever population is white.
Yes.
Will carry her across the finish line, and so she will then be the Democratic nominee.
So, in other words, what's going to stop her? Because sure, she entered that race. Are y'all assuming, just for the sake of our discussion here, we don't know what would happen, but just assuming that if she enters the race, I don't know if she has decided or not. But if she does, has she decided?
She's entered.
She's in it.
She's in it.
Well, we've been talking about some crap. What does it matter now? She's in it.
No, so she still has to
withdraw.
Whatever she shook hands.
She can withdraw anything for one damn minute. That woman gonna withdraw. Come on. No, but I hear you. I hear your point, and I agree with you.
For one darn minute that we should be quiet about it and not say something.
Yeah, you can say something, but I don't think.
Okay, I think
the chance of getting her to withdraw is going to be come to none.
She can. Right? She withdraws and goes into the race where she lives, and then it is a harder district, but it's not an unwinnable district. I know. I told y'all 3 minutes ago.
Oh, I'm doing the Sandman. From the Apollo, when the Sandman, they said you gotta go.
I did it at 901 and said, let's carry this to the
next. I'm doing Sandman.
Y'all ain't running like little scared rabbits, are you? Because when we ask the hard questions, y'all don't want to answer the hard questions.
Vernon, now you sound like Charles. You need to stop it. Get back on this side of the fence. Get back on this side. Get back. Come on back, Vernon. Come on back. It's your show. It's your 9 o'clock deadline. You're supposed to be playing something else.
All right, Mr. McIntosh, you have a book recommendation? He didn't raise my blood pressure up tonight.
You have a book of peace and tranquility. Pull up the Bible. Just throw the Bible up there. That's what we need. Jesus, let's go.
He's getting me back for last time. That's what it is. Go ahead, Mr. McIntosh.
Okay, can y'all see that? I got Clay Kane. Can y'all please just go with my slipping?
Yes, Burn Down Master's House by Clay Kane.
Burn Down Master's House. I'm gonna promote that again by Clay Kane, a New York Times bestseller. So if you want to read this book, it is a great book. It's fiction, but based on true stories. and true people and actual people. So get it, burn down Master's house. All right then, Derek.
All
I
right.
don't know
Well,
what's happening with my computer.
well, thank you, everybody. We will come back with this riveting conversation. We ask that if you would like to weigh in, please weigh in next week. We'll be here, same time, same channel. I apologize, we're 5 minutes beyond, but we thank you for hanging in with us. Have a great week, everybody. Please make sure you check your voter registration status, enroll and vote by mail, and we will see you next week. Have a great week. Take care.
Take care.
Bye, y'all. Bye-bye.